Hello and welcome everyone. In the previous tutorials, we have discussed about views and templates in Django. Now we will take a step further and we will understand what are models in Django. So we will start off this video by giving a brief introduction about what are models. Then we will discuss what is a model in this MVT design pattern, and in the last we will discuss how we can create our first model in Django. So without any further delay, let's jump to the topic. Basically, Django, being a web development framework, utilizes models, which are simple Python objects that help to manage and retrieve data. Models specify how data is organized, including the type of fields and optionally their maximum size, as well their default value. Additionally, it also includes options for selection list, help text for manuals, label text for forms, etc. The model can be chosen from a variety of parts of your project parameters. It is independent of the underlying database. After deciding on the database, we just need to use it. We don't even need to communicate with it direct. All we need to do is create a model structure and other codes, and Django will take care of the rest of the work of interacting with the database. Now, Django model aggregates tables into models and streamline the task. Each model typically corresponds to a single database table. Additionally, we can perform a number of related tasks using Django's admin panel as well, which includes creating, updating, deleting, and retrieving model fields. So this was a high level introduction to models. Now let's discuss the MVT design pattern and what is this M in this MVT design pattern. Basically, we have already discussed how Django follows the MVT architecture pattern. So MVT stands for model view template, and this MVT architecture pattern is a popular architecture which is based upon the concept of MVC, which is model view controller. So in this MVT, M stands for model, V stands for view, and T stands for template. Now, till now, what we have done, we have already discussed and understood how the view and template works in Django, but we haven't discussed how to use models. So models in Django architecture pattern serves as a data interface. It acts as a database that serves a logical data structure for the entire application. Now there are some fundamentals related to models in Django. Each model in Django is simply a subclass of django.db.models.model class. So basically there is a module with name models, and in that module we have a model class. Or we can say, to create a user-defined model in Django, we need to create a subclass of this model class. A database field is represented by each attribute of the model. So when we create a subclass of this model class, in that class we can have different attributes, and that attributes acts as a database fields, or we can say the table fields. Moreover, Django provides automatically created database access API with all of this. So it also provides one API through which we can interact with the data. Now with this, I hope you all understand what are models, and let's move to the next phase and let's understand how we can create our first model. To define a model in Django, we need to define a subclass of this model class, which we have discussed earlier, and we have to do all of this task in the models.py file. So let's implement one example related to it, and for this I will open my VS Code. So for this example, I'm using the same core system project. What I will do, I will use my home application, and in the home application there is one file which name is models.py. So I will open it. So every model that we have to define for our application goes inside this models.py file. Now, as I told you, to define a model, we need to create a subclass of model class. So what I will do, I will define a class here. To define a class, we use the class keyword. Then we have to define the name. Let me name this class as profile. And now I have to create a subclass of models.model class. So with this, we have defined the class. Now in this, we have to define fields, and for fields we need to define some attributes. So let me define some attributes. Let me define first one as first name. Now how I can define this field? In the models module, there are multiple classes that we can use. For example, we know a first name could be represented as a character type data. So what I will do, in models module, we have a class with name char field, which represents character field. One more thing, what we can do, we can specify the maximum length for this character field. So for this we need to pass this parameter, which is max underscore length, and I will specify the maximum length as 20. Now let's specify some more attributes. So After first name, let's define last name, and for last name I will specify the maximum length is 30. Then let's define age as well. Now we all know age is a integer type value, so I will change this char field to integer field. After this, let's define one contact. Now contact field will also be an integer field, and let's define one more field, which is email. Now for email, we have this email field, and for this also we can define maximum length. Let me define maximum length as 50. So what we have done in this code, we have defined a class with name profile, and within that class we have defined multiple attributes, and these attributes will correspond to the table fields. So logically what we have done, we have defined one table profile with 5 columns: first name, last name, age, contact, and email. Now there are multiple fields, or we can say multiple attributes, that we can use to define different type of fields for our table. You will get the complete list of field names with the document which is available with this video, so you can go through that once and you will get to know that how many different type of fields we can have for our model. Now before we move forward, one more important step that we need to follow is that we need to make sure that our application is linked with our project. And how we generally do that, we need to open the settings.py file of our project. So I have opened this settings.py file. In the settings.py file you can see this list which is installed underscore apps, and under this we need to make sure that our application name is mentioned. So here you can see my application name, which is home, is already there. Now why this step is important, because if we don't mention this thing here, the project will unable to recognize the application, and it will unable to recognize the model from that application. So now that we have created the model, the next step is to make changes in our database. So what we need to do next, we need to use one command to make migrations based upon the modifications that we have done in our models.py file. So what I will do, I will open my terminal. Now in my terminal I have already activated my virtual environment, and I am already in the same directory where my manage.py file is there. So the command is python manage.py make migrations. So what this make migrations command will do, it will mark all the migrations or mark all the changes. In my case it is showing no changes detected because I have already run the migrations. Now once we run this make migrations command, what will happen, it will automatically create this migrations directory, and under this you can see certain Python files where the first file is 0001 underscore initial. So this is the initial migration that we have created. Now next what we need to do, we need to make changes in our database, and for this we need to use this migrate command. So python manage.py migrate. What this command will do, it will automatically make changes in our database based upon the changes that we have marked using the make migrations command. Moreover, what we can do, so what happens in Python, we don't need to write any SQL statement, and what happens, Python automatically reflect changes in SQL. So if you want to get the information in terms of SQL, what we are going to execute, so for this we use this command which is SQL migrate. Then we need to mention the name of our application for which we want the SQL migration, and then we need to specify the migration number, which is 001. And from where we got this 001, we got this initial migration as 0001, so we have mentioned this number here. If I hit enter, here you can see it has returned the exact SQL for this. So what we were doing, we were creating a model profile. So behind the scene, what is happening, we are using this command which is create table. Now the table name is home underscore profile. So when we specify our model name as profile, what happens, it will automatically concatenates with the application name, and this will be our exact table name. And rest here one more thing you can see, I haven't created any primary key for our model. So this task is been done automatically by Django. So here you can see it has automatically created this field ID which is of type integer, and it is a not null field, and it has automatically defined it as primary key auto increment. So we don't need to mention primary key for our models. Then there is first name, then there is last name, and in the same way all other fields are there, and in the last commit has been executed. Now this table is being created in this db SQLite 3 file. Now what if you want to fetch the SQL tables? So what we can do in such cases, We can use one tool which is DB browser for our SQLite. So we need to download that. For this, I will simply type download DB browser for SQLite. Open the very first link, and from here we can easily download it. So I will download this for 64-bit Windows. You can also download it as a portable version. You can also download it for macOS, and there are multiple options. You can also use it in Linux. Once this installer has been downloaded, we need to click on it to run this. Simply click on next, accept the license agreement, again next. Now here we have to select certain option. So I want this application as for desktop. So I will select that and I will click on next, again next, and install. So our installation is finished. Now we need to run this application, and here what we need to do, we need to click on this open database option, and next we need to select that db.sqlite3 file from our project. So I will quickly select that file and I will click on open. Now here you can see there are certain tables. So rest of the tables like auth underscore group, auth underscore permission, auth underscore user, these are some built-in tables. When we initially run our migration, these tables are automatically created. Now what we have done, we have created this home underscore profile table. So if I right click on this and if I click on browse table, here you can see ID field is there, first name, last name, age, contact, and email. These 6 fields are there in our table, and in this way we have created our table. Now I hope you all understand how we can create our first model in Django. And with this, we have come to the end of this tutorial where we have discussed how we can create models. In the coming tutorials, we will discuss about different operations that we can use on models. For example, how we can store data in our model, how we can retrieve data. So all the crude operations we will discuss in the coming tutorials. Thank you so much for watching this video. We will see you in the next one.